It's taking a little longer than usual. Ready?
It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay.
All right.
We're
Finally.
here. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, everybody. Around the world listening, welcome to Dart Talk. Steve Pennell with Mystery Mark. Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts, the whole Angie, Jeff, the whole crew, Sam the intern.
All doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, Sam's getting coal in his stocking.
Delightful.
You got something going on here.
Oh, that's totally awesome.
It's got a touchscreen IC
What
and
is
a
that?
pen for me.
Okay, that's just great. I'm starting to hate Google Chrome. Anyway, welcome to the show. Sorry we couldn't make it last week. Holiday. Hope everybody had a little gobble turkey.
I know I did.
Hey, I'm telling
way
you,
too much.
you nailed your pizza roll.
My appetizers.
That was
yeah.
between the pizza roll and the glug. I don't know what I like better.
It's too bad you don't like mushrooms either. Those were good too. But
They
yeah,
look good.
The
I'll
pizza
tell you.
roll turned out pretty well, I thought.
You should have brought some bread. I'd have dipped the bread in like the garlic sauce.
Sauteed
the
true,
mushrooms in.
You
I'd
could
have
have
done
dipped
that.
the pizza roll in that.
Yeah, you had marinara sauce.
I know.
Yeah, it was good. It was like the quality of food for Thanksgiving was one of the best I ever had.
It was awesome.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
I felt like I put on like 30 pounds, went into like a little bit of a
just going to get worse.
Food coma.
You're going to be eating all week.
Love of my life
Next
made
week.
fantastic pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive, I must say.
She always makes a good pumpkin pie.
She outdid
She's a
herself
good
this
baker.
time.
She makes good desserts.
Yeah.
She's a good cook overall too. She
just doesn't cook that much.
No.
You know, we're restaurant people, takeout people.
Yeah, she always makes the desserts.
All right, so we're going to start previewing the World Championships. I know they're not starting for a couple of weeks, and we will be doing a show right on the eve of the World Championships.
Correct. Yeah.
So we can maybe update our picks. But I want to run down some of the more interesting matchups and start whetting people's appetite for it, because it is like my favorite time of year when it comes to darts, when it comes to watching. There's nothing more fun than watching this stuff hour upon hour, and the pressure that the PDC guys feel is really remarkable. I mean, it's their whole season. For a lot of guys, if they blow this tournament, they're messed up for 12 months.
Why is that?
Because the money value is so big. And for the guys that are defending money, you know, from last year or from 2 years ago, like if you made top 16 2 years ago, your money is the money you made is off the list after this tournament, so you can seriously drop because it's the most lucrative tournament of the season. It's kind of like Daytona. You know, they start with the biggest tournament at the beginning of the year. And these guys, I mean, this is what you play for. You know, you play to win titles, and you play to win world titles, and there aren't that many to go around. You know, I mean, the PDC is very nice. Like, their announcers are very nice, and they will acknowledge that if you win Lakeside, you're a, quote, world champion. I don't buy into that. I mean, you want to play nice with the BDO, feel free. I don't feel obligated. I mean, there's one world championship, and this is the one.
Right.
Everything else is, you know, a great tournament or, you know, what have you. On the soft tip side, you know, the soft tip world championship, I mean, I like the grand final they had. I guess they're not having one this year, Darts Live, so that's too bad. So we'll review some of those matches.
Would you like to disclaim anything?
Yeah, why don't we
everything
just
right now before we get deeper
Yes,
into this?
I think that's important.
Let's hope this works.
Yeah.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, so we'll preview the PDC. We'll do that a little bit later. There's some news. I have to mock the ADO for some announcement on their website.
All
We'll get to that. And then we have to talk Players Challenge Series. We'll get to that pretty soon because I think
That's still going on?
yeah, it's just nobody's been playing,
know.
and we
There hasn't been many updates.
Well, there's a plan. I mean, it's.
It's good to have a plan.
Yeah, and then, we're going to talk about changes to the show. I mean, I was watching the opening credits. I mean, isn't it about time those got changed? Been using the same credits for, I don't know.
Maybe people like it. Some people don't like change.
Some people fear change. It's tradition.
Might freak them out a little bit.
Yeah, it's tradition. Like, let's go with the same crappy round wire boards we always use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what a contract's
Just-
for. Yeah.
Just good.
They're the finest in the business.
Just killing me. So anyway, your team was in the playoffs.
Yes.
Let's start some.
Let's start with
get
some
the
league
lead.
darts.
Let's start league darts because it is.
I don't
think,
know if that's
entertaining.
it's not. Might not turn into a very long conversation. But
So your team played on Monday night, and how'd you play?
I did not play.
You didn't play.
I couldn't find anybody to work for me Monday night, so I was not, able to make it. And
Without
regardless of whether I was there or not, we lost.
And then
3 to 5, best of 9. So
best of 9, you lost 5 to 3.
They did not advance to Tuesday, which I would have been able to play yesterday, but they did not advance, so I did not have to play.
And as it so happens, had you won Monday and Tuesday, you would have had to play next Monday and next Tuesday, and you are, I believe
you
occupied.
are correct. Yes. I was going to be out of town anyway.
If you notice the background, that is Lahui
It is Lahui.
on the island of Kauai, where we will be next week, not doing a show.
Right.
If we do a show from there, I can't imagine it would be intelligible. We should try. We should try to stream a show on an iPad or something
See if we could
from
do
the
it.
pool. And just like, I don't know, just be stupid. Because that's pretty much what my plan is for next week.
We could try it. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. It might be the funniest show we ever did.
Hopefully we have a lot of, I think we're going to have some free time.
You
It's
think?
not like we have a whole, everything, all hours booked.
Have we ever, done the show drunk?
No.
Might be a good time. Might be a good time to do it. There's gonna be changes to the show next year. They're formulating in my head, so I'm not gonna announce anything now. But needless to say, we've got some interesting things in the works for next year. Our schedule for this year we'll be off next week.
Correct.
We'll do a show on the
17th.
On the 17th. That's Wednesday night.
The day
and then
before the tournament.
The day before the World Championship starts, and then what are we doing?
Well, then we
ever
really haven't
figure
decided
anything
because
out?
then it's Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And we were probably Christmas Eve. That's the problem. Then it's Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Both fall on the Wednesday.
On Wednesday. So we're obviously not going to do it on Wednesday. So it's a matter
Right.
of whether you want to come in and do it on Tuesday or maybe we do one show, one double. We were going to do the Player of the Year stuff. We were going to do the awards this week, but we can't because we looked at the PDC schedule.
I would foresee most likely we would probably do a show on Tuesday.
The 23rd.
23rd.
Tuesday the 23rd, and then another one on the
30th.
30th of January. So those are Tuesdays. So we'll move to Tuesday
Instead of doing
for a
one
couple
on
of weeks.
Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
I'm not.
that's
I'm not really interested. Should we do 2 shows or just one? Well, we'll see.
depends on how we feel.
We'll see.
But most likely that's going to be the plan. We'll end up on Tuesday for the last
2 weeks
shows.
of the month.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's a lot that we have to go to. We got to do Player of the Year. We got to do Most Outstanding Player. The Player of the Year, after I looked at the PDC thing, I'm kind of like, Scotty Kirchner is playing early. He's playing, I think, on day 2. He's got to play in the preliminary, which I believe is a race to 4.
Right. He plays Thursday night.
He plays some guy from New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets by him, Gary Anderson is
but
waiting.
he plays him like almost the very next match, either one match.
Well, what you do is
night.
it's like the second year. The prelims are the second matchup, I think, and then whoever wins plays, I think, the last match of the session.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you get by Gary Anderson, you're in contention for Player of the Year in my mind.
Sure.
If you can go and stand toe to toe with Gary Anderson and average in the 90s and beat him and put pressure on him so he misses some doubles, then you're in the running for Player of the Year. And if Scotty can get by that, he's got to wait, what do we say, a week?
A week. He wouldn't play till the 27th.
Right. So if we do a show on the 30th, we can report on that match.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
this vacation thing kind of throws a wrench into everything. It's
amazing.
so unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, this is going to be the first vacation that I've ever taken with Jill that I'm not bringing darts. I'm not even packing them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I mean, it's going to be weird.
You don't want to throw them at the fish in the ocean and see if you could stab one?
I was thinking about getting an air harpoon gun.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't know if I want to go shooting fishies.
No, I don't think so.
Especially I don't want them getting angry at me. But you can't fish in Hawaii?
With a harpoon gun?
Well, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to throw dynamite from a outrigger canoe.
Right, but yeah, I don't think they want people out there on the shore with harpoon guns.
Well, no, when you snorkel, I mean, it's not like you're snorkeling on the beach where you might accidentally hit the 5-year-old in his little inner tube.
You could snorkel, 100 feet from the beach.
Should we talk about workling?
Yes.
Because we went and bought reef shoes the other day. Okay, here's
we've come up with a new thing.
Well, yeah, I didn't. It was invented by your mother, apparently. Workling is when you take your mask and your snorkel and some reef shoes, and instead of actually snorkeling, you just kind of walk and look down.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm going to be doing that.
Bend over at the waist while you're standing on the shore. And
I just don't think that that's really my cup of tea.
We've decided it's workling.
And then, so what about parasailing?
Well, I mean, it's not out of the question.
That doesn't get you excited to go parasailing?
I think it'll be fun. It doesn't get me excited.
There's no pleasing you.
I think it'll be fun. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what it costs. I don't know.
I don't know. Everything costs a lot. So
we were discussing that too, though. But you were like, the zip lining is a lot of fun, and you don't want to do that so far because it's all structured and you're.
It's not. They strap you in a thing and you go down the line.
What do you think you're doing when you're parasailing?
You're attached to a parachute and
you don't think you're strapped in?
Well, yeah, you're strapped in, but it's different.
Okay.
It's not like you're on a track. I mean, you could go left and right. I mean, you could, whatever.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't think it's the same. Maybe it is.
Well, I'm sure. It's not the same.
I'm not going to try hang gliding. I think hang gliding is dangerous, so I'm not going to do hang gliding. Okay. But boogie boarding is at the top of my list. Boogie boarding, snorkeling, and parasailing. You notice the water theme?
Yeah.
And then you were all geeked to play golf in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe some of those pictures, man.
They're awesome.
Yeah. It's some of those courses are so beautiful, I'd be reluctant to take a divot, although I'm sure I will.
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem is you spend a lot of time taking pictures because the scenery is so great, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I better hit the ball.
So maybe we should take like an over-under on what we shoot.
Ooh.
Right? I mean, you've played regularly every year. I used to play a lot. I don't play anymore, but I was very good, when I played. So I don't know. Ask the chat room. What's the over/under on what we shoot?
Yeah, I guess it would depend. I mean,
something?
I doubt if we play like Princeville or Poipu Bay or championship courses. I doubt we'll play from the tips. But I'm
almost up to senior age.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I think I can start like kind of sneaking forward and being like, check it out. I'm a long hitter again. It's funny how that works.
You want to be dropped by sharks? I'm not exactly sure.
Don't want to be dropped by sharks. Maybe they mean into sharks.
Yeah.
I've swum with sharks before. Sharks don't scare me.
Well, but you're not going to be dropped anyway.
Well, I think that there's somebody already afraid of parasailing in the chat room. So, I don't know. Anyway, so get this. So, where are we on time?
Well,
I'm just babbling
we
on
got a
here.
couple of minutes.
Okay.
But anyway, that was that all you wanted to talk about, league darts?
Well, no. I was going to ask you if you were being a good teammate by not showing up on Monday. So you can explain your rationale for not showing up on Monday.
Well, I couldn't get anybody to work for me.
Suppose you could, you wouldn't have gone anyway. We talked offline. The impression I got from you is like because you couldn't. The way the playoffs you got to play 4 nights.
I probably,
right?
I couldn't find anybody to work for me. I didn't exhaust all possibilities, but the few people that I called that couldn't do it because most other people,
like Helen Keller, could make it.
Well, most other people that I could have called were going to say no anyway. So I exhausted, the most people that had a choice. But the bottom line is even if I did go, so that'd be the first round, the second round, Monday and Tuesday, and then the next 2 rounds would be the semifinals and the finals, and I'm going to be out of town for it anyway, so I wasn't really overly concerned whether I played or not because, my thought process is if my team wasn't going to win in the first round without me, then how are they going to win in the semifinals and the finals?
Well, I was talking to the Project the other night. We talked about him on the show. This guy I nicknamed the Project.
Yeah.
And he was saying you're not a good teammate. And I guess his take on
Oh, okay.
his take on it was like, well, you should show up and at least give your team a chance to win in the semis, even if you're not going to be there.
It's hard to argue that. I could see that logic. But
you're a very agreeable chap.
I mean, I don't really agree with him for the fact that I just don't think it was going to happen then if they, but you never know. I mean, that's the other part of the theory is if you're there, you always have a chance. So
I don't know. I mean, I've been accused of being a bad teammate because one of the last teams I was on, this was a couple of years ago, they were going to have the finals in a bar that I don't go to. Mm-hmm. And I told everyone at the beginning of the season, hey, look, I'm not playing at this place. If you have to go there, you're on your own. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out that they decided to have the finals there, and I'm like, well, good luck with the finals. And everybody was ripping on me for being a bad teammate. I'm like, hey, I told you I don't go there. I have reasons.
We had a whole segment.
Did we really?
About that. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Everybody can check the archive. But I mean, they were accusing me of being a bad teammate, and finally I was like, you know what? I have a problem with this place. Are you guys good teammates because you're not backing me?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That kind of thing. So, I mean, the good teammate, bad teammate thing, I mean, there are people, apparently, I learned this from the Project the other night, that take league darts really, really seriously. And if you're not going to be the kind of player that goes out and plays anything more than, whatever local tournaments you have right next door, I can see that. Like,
right.
Boston has, I don't know, thousands of people playing league, and a lot of those people take it seriously, and they're not worried about playing tournaments. All they want to do is win their league, right? And I forget, because I've been a tournament player for so long, that it's the be-all and end-all for a lot of people.
Yeah.
League darts,
I think
right?
it is, right.
And I think for people that, they're recreational players or they're kind of, serious amateurs, however you want to characterize them, they get geeked up for it. They look forward to it. And I have to rack my brains to remember the first season I played League where 5 days before the match I'm kind of trying to figure out what the best lineup is and stuff. I mean, you get pulled into it and that's when it becomes a real sport for a lot of people. Right? So I mean, I don't want to be dismissive of it, but I'm talking. Where are we on time? We should probably.
We'll take a break and come back and finish this conversation.
Yeah, take a break and then ask me why I'm kind of on the fence on giving up on the Project. Let's start with that, okay? Are you listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark Steve Palacione? We will be back in a minute. The breaks are going to be short tonight.
views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Hey, back for the second quarter at Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. You're finishing your third year on the show.
Really?
Can you believe that?
Doesn't seem that like that.
TheDartZone.com has supported this show for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
It's crazy. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
Thanks,
that long.
Bill. Yeah, that's pretty awesome when you think about it. So the project, right? I'm talking to the project. Now, here's a guy that, like, it probably happens in every league. You get somebody who starts playing and has, good hand-eye coordination, maybe some athletic background, has some natural ability, and, gets into it, right? And the funny thing about darts, especially, people that are playing in, like, lower handicap divisions where you have nowhere to go but up, it's very easy for someone to start a season, at, like, I don't know, let's say a 5. And by the end of the season, if they actually, play 2 or 3 nights a week and really work at it, they'll be an 8 or a 9. And then the season after that, they'll be a 9 or a 10. I mean, I think darts, one of the coolest things about it is that if you have common sense, you have some natural ability, and you're willing to work at it, you can get decent in a hurry, right? You can get where you can get around the board, and you could throw like a 21, 24 dart 501 game, and you can throw some 5 counts, maybe a 7 count in a cricket thing. You could throw 4 bowls once in a while, right? You can play 301 and come in with, like, a double, a single, and a triple every, I don't know, 5th, 6th, 7th leg, whatever it may be. And those are decent players. I mean, for a league, that's not bad.
Oh, no, not at all.
You're not going to, we're going to talk world championships in a little bit. I mean, obviously, that's a completely different realm. But
Sure.
It's not hard, I don't think, for people to get decent. What I find, especially in the Chicago League, is what happens to people once they get decent. You have to start making decisions, right?
Well, yeah.
You have
absolutely.
to decide, do you want to keep improving, right? How much time do you want to put into it?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing right there.
Yeah, and there are people that, to be honest with you, there are people in league that have been playing for 20 years. They've enjoyed every minute of it. They've never really become great players. They've never really even become, I don't know what a good player is. I mean, it's a subjective term, and I don't really, are you good? I don't know. Compared to who?
Yeah, right.
Mahatma Gandhi?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think I could take him. I mean, I can't. I don't look at things in those terms. Soft tip people, at least, there's numbers that they can point to. Hey, I threw like a 5.3 or whatever.
Yeah, I think in general the conversation, those are you good compared to, well, most of the time that question's asked about compared to league. So, like, are you good because, are you winning most of your league matches, or that's what people compare it to.
The funniest thing I heard was I was at, I went to Murphy's and I was just kind of throwing, and there was somebody on the board next to me, and you get in conversation sometimes. They're very nice. They had no idea really what they were doing, but they hit what they were aiming at once in a while, and then they'd get all excited and loud and cheer, and it's hard not to smile, when you see enthusiasm like that. As somebody who loves darts like I do, right? I like to see enthusiasm. So I just happened to decide to go to the men's room or something, and the girl that was playing on the board, kind of like as I was going, she was coming, and I said hi, and la-di-da. And I asked her, I'm like, well, how long you been playing? And she's like, oh, I don't really play. I mean, we played a little bit in college, and, I just kind of go out with my friends. And I'm like, well, you look like you're doing pretty good there. You do a lot of things correctly, la-di-da-di-da. I'm just like, being polite. And she's like, yeah, well, I'll tell you. She's like, I really like to play, but all I really want to do is beat my friends.
Right.
And I was like, that sums it up, I think, for a lot of people. For a lot of people who play darts, all they want to do is beat the people that they know. So from a league sense,
Yeah, well, it depends. I
You
mean,
know-
when I was in college, all I wanted to do was beat the people I was playing against because we were playing for drinks.
well, yeah, and I don't know
I
what
didn't
it's
necessarily
like.
know them.
You know, I can count on one hand the times people have challenged me to play for something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just, I don't go out of my way to, hey, let's, play for this, play for that. It's like, if I'm there, just throwing on the side and somebody wants to play, as long as I think that they can stick their darts in the board, I'll say yeah. But
on the other hand, I mean, that's how I first got involved in it, because it was the gambling for a shot or whatever. And then, me and one particular guy would go out and actually, he was really good, I was good, and we would just play for drinks all night
and just drink for free.
Yeah, and
you're
then,
like the girls on ladies' night,
right? But the thing was, though, is then you start doing that, you're getting good actually, and then you're at basically the same one or two bars, and people know that you're the two people to beat, but they still want to play you for a drink because you're not playing without that caveat on it anyway. And then next thing you know, you're hey, well, why don't we join a league? And then you join a league, and then you start playing in the league, and things evolve.
And that's the thing. I mean, things need to evolve, right? I mean, there are people playing in the league in Chicago that are in the beginners division that have played for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you be a beginner if you've played for 20 years?
Right.
It's just wrong. It's wrong to group real beginners in with veteran beginners.
But I don't think those people don't even have the mindset of I want to beat my friends. Their just mindset is like, hey, it's Tuesday night. Let's go out and throw some darts and
have some fun. And for some, it's an excuse to get out of the house. For some people, darts is an excuse to be in a bar drinking.
Whereas this girl would have more potential if she actually has the mindset of I want to beat my friends. Then that could be progressed into let's play league and you want to beat other people as well.
Right. So as you start to improve, you have to start making decisions, right? If you only have a limited amount of time to play, your ceiling is going to be, relatively low, right? It's hard for somebody who plays once a week to be up against people who play 3 times a week.
Oh, sure.
Unless you've got, a tremendous advantage, in terms of natural ability or something, right? So, I don't know. I mean, so I'm talking to the project, and I basically told him, look, you can't play in your division anymore. There's no one there to push you. There's not enough competition. If you want to improve as a player, you have to play better players. I mean, I think everyone agrees with that.
I do.
So he makes this comment like, well, what I really want to do is play long format 501 tournaments next year. And I'm like, really? And the way you're going to prepare for that is by playing in league with
where
kind of like if the players are mediocre, you're lucky. I mean, you tell me. I mean, you're playing in the top of the amateur division right now.
Well, he's only going to play at best 3 legs every Tuesday of 501, and that means he has to lose a leg. Other than that, he's playing 2 legs a week.
And against competition that really isn't
of singles. I mean, yes, he can play the 501 doubles, blah blah blah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, his preparation is going to be I waxed a guy 2 straight legs every week.
So I'm trying to explain to him now. I'm like, look, if you want to go and play tournaments, then league is really good preparation for that, right? You know what? You said it was the Tiger Woods approach, where I would play league to get ready for small tournaments and play small tournaments to get ready for big tournaments. I did that, for years, and it was relatively, it worked out pretty good. I wasn't one of these guys that had like 5 dudes that I knew that, we all grew up together and, hey, we got a dart team together and we go out on Tuesday nights and that's our deal, right? I mean, I started playing, God, I was in my 40s.
Well, the other thing about league, if, in order to do it the way you're saying, is that you have to take advantage of the night out of darts and not just do it as we're going out drinking with friends and I'm going to play 3-4 legs and that's it. You either stay for an extra hour or 2 and play against the other best player on your team and play just nothing but 501, or you do it beforehand, an hour beforehand. But if he's going to prepare for a long format 501 and you, like you're saying, use the league as part of that, he has to do it more than just playing 4 sets.
Well, yeah, and also he's got to play better people.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you're in a division of like B players, and then you're going to go to a tournament of A players, how does playing the B players help you?
It doesn't.
Yeah, I would think that actually it hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You were talking to the project the other night, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling you, he was kind of shocked that guys were hitting 7 counts against him in cricket.
He was shocked at the instance at what he did it, but yes, in general, it was like, and he was like, oh my God, and he answered the 7 count against me, and I was just like, well, that's why certain players play certain ways, because they're playing against people that they know can hit 7, 8, 9 counts, and we're not, in our leagues, not playing those guys. Yes, like you said, everybody can hit it. You can hit 4 bullseyes, you can hit a 7 mark, you can take out 96. People in our league, yes, they can do it. Consistently, no, doesn't happen.
No.
Whereas consistently, that's what, he won't be shocked if he plays better players. He won't be shocked that they're going to take hitting 7 marks, and it'll make him a better player because he's going to know it's going to happen.
I just think that until you start playing better players regularly, you don't really have a good sense of the game.
Right.
Like he made some comment to me. We were playing doubles, and he went like ton 60 or something. In the three rounds that he had, and they didn't get to a finish. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, I really, wanted to whack at that, 161 that they were on, because we were playing doubles." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Well, you didn't earn it." And he's like, "Well, what are you talking about? I averaged just as much as anybody in the PCS." And I'm like, "Oh, because you went like, ton 60. Okay, so you averaged about an 80. Okay." The averages of the PCS are guys that actually hit the finish. Mm-hmm. They also hit doubles too to average that. I'm
Which
like,
takes
if you
your
look
average
at
down.
if you look at just their scoring average, it's going to be higher. But the delusion somehow that you can throw 9 darts and that makes you as good as somebody who did it for an hour. Mm-hmm. I mean, people have these misconceptions, and I don't know how to disabuse them of these notions except for to mention it on the show and hope they're listening. Don't do this. I mean, that's part of the problem that people don't respect the good players enough, because they don't know how hard it is to just average 80 for 5 hours.
Consistently over and over.
For 5
and over
hours.
again, right.
Not for 5 legs, but for 5 hours. Mm-hmm. So he's asking me, about stuff on the road and, what do people hit? And I'm like, look, you go to the diddle, you go on the diddle tour, guys aren't like just stringing together 10 straight 11 dart games. It doesn't work that way. Guys win events by averaging 18 darts. Mm-hmm. And being lucky enough not to run into the guy who just threw the first back-to-back 12 darters of his life.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
That's the kind of good luck that you need in some of these short format tournaments.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to be in a real good rhythm and stuff like that. These guys the project was actually, he was killing me. So finally I had to say to him, I'm like, look, you're a talented player, mm-hmm. right? You have to decide, though, whether you want to be a real player or whether you just want to have fun.
Right. Well, that's
he's like,
in the chat they're saying, I don't think it's hard to believe that some people just want to play for fun, and we're not disagreeing with that.
I told him, I'm like, if you want to play for fun,
right,
play for fun and make sure it's fun.
Yeah.
Do it.
But if you're really interested in going out and playing in long format 501 tournaments, then you
what
have
are you going
to
do when you go up against a guy who goes 140, 180, 3 straight legs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have
How's
to take
that
a
gonna
different
work?
approach than just going out and playing league darts. If he wants to just hang out with his buddies and dominate nickel and hope that they put together a good enough team to vie for the championship every year, then that's fine too.
Yeah,
but
it's just not going to get you anywhere.
If he's expressing
it doesn't get you anywhere.
The notion that he wants to go further, then he's got to take a different route.
I mean, maybe I was the exception to the rule. I mean, when I first started playing League, I enjoyed it, but I always saw that there were better players playing over there, and I wanted to play them.
The other thing that we talked about on the way here was the fact that back in the day when you were playing League and I was playing League, and there was an extra division and there were more teams, and there were always really good players. The nickel division wasn't a bad division.
High nickel was
a really good division, and if you won high nickel, then you played tungsten, and you went up against really good tungsten players. Now everything's coupled together, and there's less teams. So he, as good as he is, he's not seeing the ability of other darters as much as I did when I first started playing League. I saw the next step and the next step, and what it took to even just be successful in the division I was at, and it's not even remotely close to what it used to be 8 years ago.
Well, the league is in Chicago anyways, a lot smaller. People found other things to do, right? I mean, if you're talking about like stay in nickel, and for the listeners, nickel's kind of the middle division. It's amateurs, but it's like the better amateurs, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So you win nickel, and then what do?
Yeah.
In order to improve
you
as
go
a player,
right.
then you have to move up, and then I don't blame a lot of people for saying, you know what, I'm not going to be that good, so I'm just gonna hang here and have a good time. I think that's great. It's the people that want to be better but then don't want to move up that I don't understand. And he's basically saying, isn't there like an in between being a player and just having fun? And I'm like, really, there isn't.
No, I wouldn't think there. No, there's not.
I mean, in any sport that you've ever played,
because you can't go around playing a bunch of nickel tournaments.
Yeah.
They
don't exist.
There's not nickel tournaments where you could go around. I mean,
you could do it maybe on the soft tip side for a little bit, but eventually, if you start winning tournaments, they move you up. And then where are you?
Yeah.
I mean, the way they do the bull shooter in Chicago, I don't know how they do it now, but they used to do it. If you won the amateur, they put you on the pro list for 3 years. And I literally knew people that waved as they were leaving, saying, I'll see you in 3 years.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And then they would come back and do well again. And I'm just sort of thinking, what's wrong with you people? I mean, I don't consider them players. They're just sort of opportunists.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, hey, I'm an amateur again. I'm going to go in and now I'll get geeked up and now I'll try to play. And, okay, maybe you do well. Great. What does that make you?
Good amateur
Doesn't make
player.
you. Well, look, I mean, I don't mean to be an elitist or, absolutist or anything like that, but it seems to me it's like if you want to take pride in yourself as a dart player, there are certain things that are required.
The only thing I would say in something like that, I mean, it depends on how they talk about themselves or people talk about him. If everybody's like praising this guy, oh yeah, he's so good, this and this, and he does it every 3 years when he's now an amateur again. If the other thing is just like, hey, I just don't want to. I don't have the time to play at that level, so I take the time off. And if he admits it, then that's fine. Then
I have no problem with that.
He enjoys it.
No, I have no problem with that.
If him or some people were, oh yeah, well he could beat those people, blah blah blah, if he wanted to. Well, then it's just like, you know what? But he doesn't want to, so no, he can't.
I guess the point I'm making is like the more attention that you draw to yourself as a player, and the more you want to portray yourself as a player, right? Then you have to move up and start playing like seriously. You have to start taking the game seriously. I'm not saying quit your job and play 10 hours a day,
Right.
But I mean you have to start doing things that serious people do when they take something
and
seriously.
one of those steps is moving up in league darts.
You play, you play in your club championship every year. What are you, A-Flight or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you go out to the putting green a couple more times a week, 3 weeks before the championship or something? Do you go out to the range? Do you work on it? I mean, a lot of people would.
Sure.
I knew people, like amateur golfers especially, and maybe it's a good analogy because there's really nowhere for you to go as an amateur golfer. I mean, you win your club championship, that's the be-all and end-all, right? There's no amateur tour. You can go to like this scramble and that scramble or go play the invitational at that country club or that country club. But, I mean, really the be-all and end-all is your club championship.
Yeah,
and by all means, go ahead and try to win it and be club champion. But don't try to fob yourself off as the next Tiger Woods because you won your club championship.
Right.
That's what these bar shooters do. The best shooter in the bar walks around like he's somebody, right? It's like, okay, you're the best player in a bar. Okay, there's a lot of bars.
Yeah, and how many people are actually
There's
coming?
a lot of bars.
Right.
And to be honest with you, in America, we probably churn out good bar shooters better than any other country.
Well, and the same concept of the club championship. Well, you win it this year, but that doesn't mean you win it next year. And if you don't win it next year, are you still walking around like I'm the best player out there? I mean, if you were at a bar and you won a tournament of just local people at that bar, and you could be like, hey, I'm the best player in the bar, but then they did it 2 months later and you didn't win, then what are you?
I don't know. I just remember back when I was caddying, what was I, like 12, 11, 13, whatever. There was a new member of the club who was pretty good, and he basically, I don't know what his situation was, but he was out there like trying to play 18 holes, and he would tee off at 4. in the afternoon and just play by himself and, like 3 hours, and you had to almost run to catch up to this guy. And God forbid you lose his ball, right? But I asked him because I was one of these guys that, was around the caddy shack a lot because, I was playing pool and playing basketball and stuff. And so I would end up caddying for this guy a lot. And he started asking for me, so I got to know him a little bit. It wasn't like Ty Webb and the guy from Caddy Shack, but I got to know the guy a little bit. And finally I asked him, I'm like, you're really taking this seriously? And he's like, well, I really want to win the club championship. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's like in 3 weeks. He's like, yeah, but I'm playing really good. And he had like this plan to win the club championship. And just by sheer coincidence, the next day, I caddied for like the guy who had won the club championship 3 times in a row. Is some doctor. So he was always playing on Wednesdays. And the guy just was the best scrambler. He would just like tee up the ball and almost not aim and just smash it somewhere, go get it, and then you total it up and he's 1 under. Right? Playing on a course he knows. And I mentioned to him, I'm like, I've been caddying for this guy. He's really out to win the club championship. And the guy got really mad. He's like, well, yeah, let me tell you something. The idea somehow that he's going to go play like, 150 holes a week when I only have time to play 36 and he thinks he's going to beat me, well, you watch and see what happens. He was really mad that this guy was putting so much time and effort into beating him that it was almost like a backlash. And I was very confused by that. And I hadn't really thought about it until just now. But this is that amateurism that, everybody's like, well, what's a pro and all this stuff on Facebook? And it's like, hey, let me tell you something. If you're out there taking it that seriously, you may as well be a pro. Right? If all you want to do is dominate your league and then go to a couple of tournaments a year and see how you do, that's fantastic. More people should do it.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? But you can't say you're a player. Right?
Right.
Quote, player.
Quote, player.
You're not a player.
I agree.
In my mind.
The thing
that's
is,
kinda,
if more people would do just that and go out, then there's going to be a small percentage of those people that all of a sudden see what it's like and go further than that. And all you need is a small percentage every time to increase the whole sport.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it was just kind of the way I was. But I got hooked on tournaments when I first walked in the door of my first tournament. I was like, this is darts. This other stuff, yeah, it's fun and everything. But this is, I found it to be, way better. In terms of like, let's play some real darts. Let's play and see how well we can play kind of thing. Whereas, bar darts isn't really like that. All right, let's talk about World Championship after this break. You listen to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark Steve P. I don't think the project's going to talk to me anymore. And we'll be right back.
I think you will.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the third quarter, second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. That was a long segment, and there was one thing I didn't even get to, which was, him asking me why, I haven't gone as many tournaments this year.
Oh,
Aside from
okay.
the elbow, I basically said, all I want to do is play this long format stuff. And it kind of went away.
Yeah.
So when it comes back, you'll see me out on the road. I'm not going to, I'll go to my normal, diddle tour, 3 or 4 stops, whatever it is, in the Midwest. But outside of that, and when Virginia Beach, outside of that, I'm not gonna fly across the country to play best of 3 501 diddle every leg. You can have that. I've been saying that for a while, and it hasn't changed. There was an announcement on the ADO Darts website before we get to the PDC that they were proud to announce that No Door Boards has agreed to keep making ADO dart boards, and I'm like thinking, so 5 more years of round wires. Okay. Yeah. I'm not real happy
Thanks
about
a
that.
lot.
Obviously, the ADO's broke, and they'll take anything they can get. But what struck me is, they quoted some guy who's the is marketing director or publicity director for No Door, and his name was Flack.
Flack.
And do you know what a flack is?
No, you were trying to explain
well,
it to me right before the show, but
I think originally it's a kind of a Hollywood term. A flack is a PR guy that will call up all these reporters saying how Evil Dead 2 is the greatest movie ever made or something.
Okay.
That's his job, to put a positive spin on, whatever. And their positive spin is basically like, hey, we've been making the same board for 80 years, and so we must be great. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, I don't know. You can't sell that to me. You could probably sell it to somebody else. So congrats to the ADO for 5 more years of round wire boards,
right.
I guess. Hopefully
Congratulations.
they're not. Yeah, maybe they'll make better ones. Who knows? Maybe the bullseyes won't fall out. What was that, Halex? Although we had all these bars in Chicago with no bullseyes for 2 years because Windy City bought these Halex boards and the bullseyes all fell out, and then they sold the boards to the bars. It's just you got to be kidding me with this stuff. I understand, it's not, everybody's on a shoestring budget. I mean, we're no exception, but look, at some point, you got to pay the money. Winmaw makes a great board. Call them up. Mm-hmm. Say, can we get, can you ship us 100 Winmaws or something? I mean, come on. Give me a break.
Do a little price comparison and see what happens. I mean,
you gotta be
can't
kidding
tell
me.
You just don't know how hard they looked. I mean, really, if they would call,
I can't imagine they look very hard.
If you called Winmaw and say No Door is going to give me this, what would you do for me?
I don't know.
It's how difficult is that?
It's like this tournament in St. Louis, the Blueberry. Great. It's a great place to go. It's a fun tournament. There's usually some pretty good players around, but they have these Budweiser boards with round wires, and all you hear all weekend are darts hitting the ground. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not doing it this year. I'm not going to, get some magnetic thing to pick up my darts because I'm playing on these silly boards. And
are they supposed to be square wires?
Well, there's round wires. And then there's what they used to call diamond wires.
Okay.
Where the point end of it was like a triangle, but one point was pointing toward you, so then
everything else slides
the
up or
dart would
down.
kind of slide up or down, and then those get hammered flat, and they become even worse than round wire boards. They just become with these shiny strips that, hammer everything into the ground. And they don't hold up very long. That's why they got rid of staples and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll go there this year. It's been like a scheduling conflict, but I wasn't really planning on going anyway, just strictly because I don't want to play on round wire boards all weekend. I just think it's silly. Puts too much luck into the game. It's just sort of like, really?
All right.
I want to go to a dart tournament. I want good playing conditions, and I want to be able to play my best. And if you're going to put a lot of obstacles in front of me like that, then I'm not going to show up. Right? You want to go play in a wind tunnel, go play at altitude, go play on, crappy boards. Yeah. I'm sure some people still show up, but I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Why would I mean, that was the beauty of the PDC that went away. They were first-class tournaments. They had good equipment, they had good lighting, they had good standards, they were run well, and it was a tournament. It was a good tournament, and it probably scared a lot of people away because they were afraid that they couldn't play, like a professional. You can play like a professional and not average 95. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with being professional about it, showing up, shaking hands, duking it out, jam on the board for a while and, let the chips fall where they may and enjoy the experience. I don't understand why more people just don't look at it that way. As opposed to let's get a bunch of
other than the expense
amateurs in a ballroom, stay there for, I don't know, 40 hours for a weekend.
Right.
Do nothing but see the parking lot and see how many best-of-3 matches you can win in triples. Please. Okay.
All right.
PDC. Let's go. Of course, my main concern was the first thing I asked you, right, is where's Scotty?
Correct.
Like kind of where's Waldo? So let's start with where's Scotty? Scotty's going to play on the 19th?
19th. No,
he's going to play the 19th or the...
I lost it already.
Okay.
Oh, there he is. Yes, he's on the 20th. I'm sorry, Saturday evening at 8:15.
So at 8:15, take off 6. So 2:15 in the afternoon Central.
Correct. He plays Mark McGrath.
Mark McGrath. And
from
where's he
New
from?
New Zealand, I think, right?
From New Zealand? Okay. I automatically say that's an automatic win for Scotty. I can't imagine anyone from New Zealand beating Scotty, although the guy that they had last year from New Zealand actually played pretty good. 2 years ago, they had a guy that, like, literally was like, you got to be kidding me. Mm-hmm. He played horrible. But
Sparther might be able to tell us how Mark McGrath is.
Well, if Sparther is in the chat room,
he's in the chat.
He's perfectly welcome to root for Mr. McGrath, but anything he could tell us about him, we'll pass along to the listeners.
So then,
okay.
If he happens to win, if Kirchner wins...
I've already guaranteed his win.
So once Kirchner wins, then he would play at 11 or more like...
Well, it'd be like 5.
5 o'clock against Gary Anderson.
Gary Anderson. The Flying Scot, Dream Boy. Wow. Well, if he beats Gary Anderson, he's in the running for Player of the Year. I'll say that right now. So we'll have to see... how that goes. I don't know that I'm going to reach out to him. I did say on the show I'd go up to Janesville and practice with him, but I'm sure, he found somebody else to do it with. So maybe he'll come. Maybe Ray Carver will go up there and help him. I mean, Ray's played on that stage. Mm-hmm. Ray knows Ray knows how to play up there. Maybe he'll help him out. Okay, so let's run down the first round matches real quick and see what we got here.
All right. Thursday, December 18th.
Okay, so it starts the 18th. It starts on Thursday, and
7
the first
o'clock
match,
their time is John Part, Keegan Brown.
Right. So right away, I'm immediately like, based on current form, I think Part's in trouble.
Right. And John Part's ranked 30th, and Keegan Brown's unranked.
He's unranked, but he's won more than John's won this year. Because the money list goes back 2 years. This is one of those things where John has money to defend. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a huge match for John Part. And I know he's doing the commentary and a lot of people like it and everything, but if he wants to stay playing, he needs to win that match. And Keegan Brown is going to be – he's one of these young guys coming up. I mean, he's got nothing to lose.
Right.
I mean, and a bright future. So that's a very interesting first-round match there.
Christian Perez against Cristo Reyes.
Yeah, no idea.
Yelly Clausen against Christian Kist.
Now, that is 2 Dutchmen. And, everybody knows the backstory on Yelly Clausen, and, he's been ripped by some of the other players. I mean, Christian Kist, they've both won Lakeside. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Christian Kist has won it more recently than Yelly Clausen. That's an interesting match.
Your number 1 seed, Michael Van Gerwen against Joe Cullen.
Okay, anyone who doesn't think that Joe Cullen is going to get absolutely pummeled needs to start listening to old episodes of the show.
Okay.
Because they're behind.
All right.
All right.
Wes Newton against either Christian Perez or Cristo Reyes.
Well, Christian Perez is a bidartual, I think, Filipino guy.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's the same Christian Perez. I imagine, you're going to see Wes Newton up there averaging, low 90s. And if he starts tightening up and starts throwing in the 80s, then he's ripe.
Mm-hmm. Then on Friday the 19th, you have Andy Hamilton against Dave Richardson.
Well, I'm not a big Andy Hamilton fan, but I would say next.
Kim Vijanin.
Okay, if there are two people who you don't recognize and you can't pronounce their names, skip it.
Sasha Stein.
Because
Okay.
we got a lot of matches to get
Peter
through.
Wright against Gerwin Price.
Okay.
Your two
Nothing
seed,
there.
Your 2 seed is Phil Taylor against Jehan Artut.
Johan.
Johan.
I don't know. Artut is actually a good-looking player. He's the German guy. And, he's played PDC. He's played on TV and stuff like that. It's strictly a matter of, if he plays the game of his life, he has a puncher's chance.
Right.
I guess you could say. Otherwise, he's toast.
I guess he's toast.
And again, here's Phil Taylor. Is it going to be another Phil Taylor? Showed up at the World Championship and brought no game. I mean, we'll see.
And then the last match on Friday is Stuart Kellert against the winner of the Kim and Sasha match.
Okay, that'll be boring.
Saturday, December 20th, Andy Smith against Ronnie Hubricks. Hybrix?
Yeah, okay.
Is it
Now,
Hubricks or
last
Hybrix?
year, Ronnie Hybrix.
Hybrix.
Last year, Ronnie had to play Kim. And Ronnie played
I remember that, yeah.
remember that? He played way better than I actually expected to see. I mean, Andy Smith, is going to be ranked higher, but I would say Ronnie's got a chance there.
All right, you got Scott McKenzie and Daryl Gurney. I believe that's a play-in match.
Yeah, that's a play-in match. I mean, Scott McKenzie by Darchwell, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know the other guy, so.
Justin Pipe against Lawrence Ryder.
Yeah, okay.
Robert Thornton against Andrew Gilding.
That may be the upset special.
Really?
Right there.
Andrew Gilding?
Yeah, there are people that like Gilding. He's actually had some good showings this year.
All right.
Thornton, once the Premier League was over, actually, once the Premier League was about half over, it looked to me like Thornton was a little out of sorts every time I watched him play. So he's an unknown to me. It's not that he doesn't have the ability. It's like I'm not really sure, he's kind of up there to me with a guy like Ian White. He's a guy that's capable, but I just don't know if he's going to have it that day.
Right.
And when Robert doesn't have it, he tends to go down quick.
All right, then you have Ronnie Baxter against the play-in match of McKenzie and Gurney.
Well, and there's the veteran. There's the veteran Ronnie Baxter. All that experience. He's made the final before. I mean, he's going to have a load of confidence over either of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's strictly a matter of whether he can kind of keep his composure. The last couple of times I've seen him on TV, he looked like he could barely focus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just looked very distracted to me, and I don't know what would bring that on. So we'll see what happens.
The evening is Steve Beaton against Kyle Anderson.
Now, if you remember, Kyle Anderson lost last year, but threw a 9-darter just out of the blue, like holy cow. And as the Australian, it's sort of interesting. There were people that were saying he shouldn't be on the PDC. He should have went to Australia to play.
Mm-hmm.
And qualify that way. So he took a chance. So it's good to see him in there. Steve Beaton's been playing, actually. He kind of resurrected his career about 18 months ago, I want to say. And he's had some decent finishes. But that's going to be a good match.
All right, we talked about McGrath Kirchner, then
Right.
Terry Jenkins, John Weber.
Yeah, Terry Jenkins is the 16 seed, is kind of, I don't know, he's about the best 16 seed I've ever seen. So it'll be interesting to see, of all the guys that have been around since I've started watching the PDC, which is about 10 years, the one guy I would really like to see win is Terry.
Okay.
I would really love to see Terry win this tournament. And, he has good matches, and then, he just sort of something happens, and, he doesn't get through, and I just am like, damn, But I'd like to see him win.
All right, Simon Whitlock against Darren Webster.
Well, and Darren Webster's kind of like sort of trying to be what Steve Beaton's done. I mean, Darren Webster's really worked hard to raise the level of his game this year, and he's had some success here and there. I mean, it'll be kind of interesting to see what he's a guy that is going to like absolutely, I guarantee you he'll be prepared. Darren Webster. Darren Webster probably has it in his mind, this is it. This is his chance to win it. He's playing really good in his, he's thinking that his game is right where he wants it to be. It'll be interesting.
All right, and of course the last match of that day is Gary Anderson against Scott Kirchner.
I hope I can watch the whole thing. If
That would
If
be
if Gary Anderson just starts stringing together 11 darters, I'm probably turning it off.
that would be at 6:00 our time.
6:00 our time on the
Saturday the 20th.
On the 20th. Okay, everybody, circle your calendar for that one. We'll remind you again in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
Sunday, December 21st, Paul Nicholson versus Benito Van de Pas.
Of all the upsets so far, that's one that I would say, that's probably worthy of something,
Possibilities.
of going with Benito there.
All right.
I Nicholson hasn't really shown me anything all year.
You have a play-in match of Boris Koltsov and Hirike Muramatsu.
Yeah, and Miramatsu's been there before. He, he'll play his game. I mean, I don't know. I think the winner plays Kevin Painter. I wish him luck with that.
Yeah.
Kevin Painter's, generally, he starts these tournaments pretty well. I don't remember Kevin Painter going down in the first round, and he, maybe I'm wrong, but this is a good format for Kevin. And he's up there. I kind of put him in the same category as Ronnie Baxter. He's a veteran player. He knows what to do. It's a matter of, how he's going to execute that day.
You got Mark Webster against Ron Moulenkamp. All right.
Mark Webster is the Cincinnati Bengals. Back when I used to,
God.
wager on football, the one team that would always kill me is Cincinnati. If I bet on them to win, they'd lose. If I bet on them to lose, they'd win. If I didn't bet, they'd tie. I mean, it was just like that team flummoxed me for years. And that's Mark Webster.
All right.
Every time I think he stinks, he plays great. And every time I think he's going to play great, he stinks. So I don't know. Don't even mention him anymore. Let's just not mention him on the show.
Dean Winstanley against Wayne Jones.
Now, that's a good matchup. Dean Winstanley and Wayne Jones. Wayne Jones has had some success on that stage. He's had some good tournaments, in the last couple of years. Winstanley, he's kind of, I would say people would think that he's underachieved since he came over from the BDO. I mean, everybody kind of thought he was going to light it up the way Bunting has done this year, and it hasn't happened. So I know there's been some issues. He's had some personal things, I think, going on, if I remember correctly. That's an interesting matchup. We'll
mark that down.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those Masters pairings kind of thing.
All right, then you got the evening. You got Kim Hybricks against Michael Mansell. Or Mansell.
Well, yeah, Michael Mansell. Hybricks will be favored, but he's not going to be able to just show up. He'll have to actually play.
You got your play-in match of Yanni Havisto and John Michael.
Oh, wow. I've actually seen both those guys play. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a coin flip.
I have not.
Yeah, it's kind of a coin flip.
Dave Chisnell versus Ryan
next.
DeVerde. Yeah. James Wade against Jamie Lewis.
Next.
And Ian White against the
Ian White. Okay.
match.
Okay, well, Ian White's going to have to play. I'm very curious to see if Ian White can really kind of take it up a notch, because I like watching him play. He's got a very simple, direct way of playing.
Mm-hmm.
He smoked me once in Vegas. He was very nice about it, but he played great. I was like, wow.
Then Monday, December 22nd, Jamie Caven against Jason Hogue.
Okay.
The play-in match of Nolan Arendizi and Alex Hahn.
We'll have to do a little research on some of these play-ins.
Michael Smith against Mensur Sulovic.
How does Sulovic get in every year? And he actually played good a couple of times last year. If you look at this guy throw, you're going to be like, how does he hit anything?
Really?
He's almost like
I recognize the name, but I've never
Chad
seen
Bradford for the Oakland A's. I mean, he literally sidearms it sometimes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's absolutely like you have to be kidding me.
And they go in.
Yeah. I've seen him play great, and I'm just sort of like, okay.
Raymond Van Barneveld against Rauby John Rodriguez.
He actually had a good tournament.
Rauby?
Yeah. What tournament was it? The European Masters or something? He actually surprised some people, and I have no idea where RVB's head is at these days.
All right.
RVB's one of these guys that is really going to probably put a lot of pressure on himself, even in the first round, because this is his whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And, what is he ranked? What's his seeding?
14th. He's 14.
RVB's all the way down to 14.
Yeah, so he's in the middle. He's in the middle of the pack.
If he exits early, he's out of the top 16. That's a pretty long fall for a guy that won it a few years ago.
And then you got Brendan Dolan against the play-in winner.
Okay, well, we'll see what Brendan Dolan can bring to the table. I don't know about Brendan Dolan. I mean, he surprises me, but I don't see him getting very deep. We'll see.
And then Tuesday, December 23rd, you got Vincent Vandervoort.
And Hendo.
Vandervoort against John Henderson.
I don't know. The thing about Henderson is going to have the crowd. Henderson is this huge teddy bear dude. He rocks forward on his front foot on every dart, and I get almost seasick watching him play. That's how much movement there is.
Okay.
But I've seen him play really well. He had a really good run last year. So, we'll see what Vandervoort does. Vandervoort never seems to really – he never really seems to have his A game when I'm watching. So we'll kind of see what happens.
All right. Your playing match is Jermaine Witamina against Robert Marajanovic.
Okay.
Mervyn
good luck
King,
to those guys.
Good luck. Mervyn King against Max Hopp.
Mervyn's Mervyn's in pretty good – his game's in pretty good shape right now. If he can play as well as he played in the last tournament, he'll be up there, top 8. Top 16, maybe. What's his seed? What's
10.
Mervyn's seed?
He's a 10.
So 10 plays 3. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd be shocked if he didn't make top 16.
Speaking of the 3 seed, Adrian Lewis plays the 3 seed against David Pallett.
Yeah, and David Pallett's a fine player, but Adrian Lewis is one of the guys that, this tournament, he's made for it. He is made for this tournament. He has his doldrums during the regular season, but I mean, basically, he had Van Gerwen beat, and he's won it twice. Mm-hmm. I mean, so, yeah. Okay, I'll take Adrian in that one.
Hard to bet against that guy. And then the last match of the first round is Stephen Bunting against the play-in winner of that.
So, Stephen Bunting is 27.
27.
So, who does 27 play in the second round? Would be 5? Does he play the 5 seed? 32, 31, 30, 29, 6 seed. It'll be, I don't know. For him to be seeded 27th, not even playing a year, is quite the accomplishment. If we were going to give...
He played Dolan or Smith? What was Smith? I don't remember.
I thought Smith was 22.
Oh.
He's not going to play 22 in the round of 32. If he's 27, he's going to play the 5 seed. Like 1 plays 32, 2 plays 31, so he'll be playing like the 6 seed.
Peter Wright is the 5 seed.
Who's the 6 seed? Is it Chizzy?
James Wade.
James Wade is 6th?
Yeah.
Well, Wade and Bunting would be a heck of a second-round match, or top 32 match.
I think it would, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Right.
Okay, did you lose your place?
No.
Okay, good.
We're done with the final round.
That's it?
Or the first round.
Really? That was fast.
Do you want to go into the second round?
No, we don't know who's going to be playing. All right,
well, that was fast. We're already into 1 hour and 7 minutes in the show, by the way.
Okay, well, we'll just okay. Yeah, I don't know. Babbling on tonight. I don't know what the deal is. It's kind of strange.
So anyway, we need
okay.
a break.
Okay, so we'll be back. Well, I don't know.
Or you just want to wrap it up?
We're already over an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, all we were going to do was, I don't think we left anything out this week, did we?
No,
we're going to move we're going to hold off on the player awards until we see how Scotty Kirchner does.
Right.
Which means we can't do the player awards in 2 weeks. We can't do
but
all of them.
We already discussed we're probably going to have a show in 3 weeks on a Tuesday.
No, in 2 weeks. Oh, in 3 weeks on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we'll have to figure something out for that. All right, so then in 2 weeks we'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to have a guest for sure because he was supposed to be on this week, and I failed miserably in arranging that. We definitely need a booker for this show.
Okay.
Did Sparther
Booking.com.
Did Sparther add anything about McGrath?
I was
that we can add.
I was just checked the chat.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
We like Aaron. He's one of my favorites. But if he okay, you want to catch up? See what Sparther says about him. If you can do it real quick. Okay, I saw the speech impediment thing.
Who are we talking about? Kyle Anderson?
No, we're talking about McGrath from New Zealand.
Oh.
We're all about Scotty Kirchner. It's all about that Scott. No trouble.
McGrath was born in the UK. Yes, same guy. He plays both. That was it. That's all he said.
Same guy.
Warren Perry was in the semifinals and beat McGrath in a round robin.
Okay.
And
Um.
that's about it for your update on Mark
All right.
McGrath.
Well, I'm picking Kirchner already. I say, I'm not picking him against Gary Anderson, but I think he's going to get through. I expect him to get through. Let's put it that way. And I expect him to play well.
Sparther says if someone smoked you, that means something very different here.
I have to go to New Zealand sometime. Sparther, maybe he can put me up, and I can go hang out in New Zealand for a while. I always wanted to go to Wellington. I don't know about I don't know anything about Auckland. I always wanted to go to Wellington. I've wanted to go to Wellington since I was in college. So maybe we can hook me up with that someday. Anyway, so we will be back in 2 weeks. We will have some announcements for sure on the Players Challenge
No
Series.
tourney results. What tourneys were there that we did not result on?
Lots of them.
Oh, okay.
There's tons of tournaments we didn't
there's
do
your
results
answer.
on.
Yes, no tourney results.
Yeah. It was a holiday. Steve took some time
Yes,
off.
yeah.
In 2 weeks, we'll catch everybody up on like Chattanooga and all these other tournaments I didn't go to.
Right.
I think Soldier actually won the 501 in Chattanooga.
Oh, did he? Good for him.
Yeah, which Scotty Kirchner's got a long way to go if he wants to be Player of the Year, because Soldier Gates is actually he's consistently won, not consistently placed. He's consistently won basically for the last 18 months. No one's got a better record than him.
Yeah.
So if you have recommendations on Player of the Year, Most Outstanding Player, email them to darttalk@gmail.com. You can always download the podcast from iTunes, listen on Stitcher.com, on TuneIn.com. We've got a website, darttalk.us. They've got the old shows up there. And we're on Twitter at Dart Talk, which, I don't know, got to talk to Sam the intern. He was supposed to take over the Twitter feed, and I haven't seen any tweets. So,
Slacking.
you got anything?
No, we will be not as fair-skinned the next time we see you. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I get dark, too. I can't wait.
Oh, I don't.
Dude.
I
I'm
get
going
native.
red.
I'm
going to go native.
Are you?
Yeah.
No.
All right. Anyway, thanks, everybody, for listening. As always, we appreciate it, and we will Dart Talk to everybody next week. Everyone take care.